360, and today we're going to be talking about the hero's journey in your path to righteousness. So, what is the hero's journey and what is your path to righteousness? So, let's replace the word hero and change it to ego. So, this is you kind of learning and understanding that you have an ego, and your ego goes through different phases depending on the current state of of your life, what level of life you're on. So when it comes to you being the hero, you controlling your ego, and you being the creator of your own destiny, this kind of helps you better understand what's actually going on esoterically before you start to interact with the external world, and you start to see results from external people, places, and things, why things aren't going into your favor, or you manifest more of a percentage level of turmoil when just trying to be a helping hand or just being yourself. Or you may be in these energies, or you may pick up or get these energies from the external world where you feel like it's not a good idea to express your individuality or just express yourself to the fullest capacity. So the hero's journey is a journey of self-discovery, a journey of self-realization, and a journey of self-acceptance. So this is going to be us as a group of spirits when we came here, creating forms that we can hop into to utilize as bodies. Off the bat, this puts us on a path. This creates direction. So our true spiritual nature is to separate, but that plays out negative on a percentage level. But when it comes to what we have separated from, in the forms that we created, the awarenesses that we separated from, that ends up becoming a substance that we have to take responsibility for. And if not, that substance can follow us through levels of carnation, incarnation, and reincarnation. And if we don't take responsibility over that, that can play out as emotional turmoil, or that can play out as emotional triggers, or that can also play out as emotional trauma or baggage that we have to take responsibility for. So when it comes to us developing these awarenesses and creating these cycles for ourselves, if we're not taking responsibility over those energies that we created from previous lives and brought into our current circumstance and situation, then these things can eventually be what alternatively end us, or make us feel the lack of something, or put us in a position where we feel like we can't achieve something. So when it comes to us having to do that internal self-realization and that internal shadow work, this is going to be putting us on a path of discovering ourself, discovering our vulnerabilities, and utilizing those vulnerabilities so we can transmute that to become a phoenix. So we can be able to shed from our ego that's keeping us limited, that's keeping us in a third dimension, so we can be able to rise above these things, so we can be able to spread our wings and be able to get out of these cocoons that we have been rooted into and gained comfortability with and found confinement into. So when it comes to your hero's journey, the hero journey is all about going through the ups and downs and the obstacles in order to be able to get back to your original space, so that you can kind of defeat or take control over your destiny. So your ego is something that's going to be holding you back. Your ego is something that you're going to have to shed. Your ego is something that you're going to have to purge, so you can transmute that back into your phoenix, so you can transmute that back into energies that's going to be more beneficial and that's going to work more into your favor. So when it comes to the hero's journey and your path to righteousness, our natural spiritual path always puts us on a percentage level of negativity and separation, going to the left, because we're always trying to create shapes and forms that mimics our spirit, nothingness. So we're always trying to create an awareness that mimics nothingness, but we can't do that because once we first became aware, our point of reference for the first time, that was something. So we're always trying to get back to God and create a form of image, a likeness that mimics that space. So that alternatively puts us in some contradicting types of energies as a spiritual root race. But we can get there. It's just that we have to shed the things that consist of the one, two, and third dimension, things that deals with gluttony, things that deals with lust, things that deals with, you know, greed, all those energies, all those sins that we have to shed from, so we can become more virtuous. And once we become more virtuous, then we'll be able to rise above the one, two, and third dimension. Because if we stay confining into all these energies that got us here in the first place, that was created when it comes to us developing biases for ourselves, us hopping into religions, us having legions, us needing followers, things of those natures, those are going to be the energies that's going to be putting us in the space of, you know, competing and separation and not being able to connect back to all. So when it comes to us having to take responsibility of the things that we created, these are the things that we created that got us so separate in the first place. So it's going to be our purpose and our, you know, mission as the hero, as the ego, to shed these things so we can get back to a lighter space, so we can get back to a more prosperous space as a collective, so we can start making better glorified bodies for ourselves. And then we take on those types of organs that can play out more lighter, that can play out more angelic, that can be more atmospherical like. So, and also I want to include this as well when it comes to us having to take responsibilities over things that we have created. So when it comes to individuals, we have created a lot of things for ourselves in order for us to experience. But if you've been in this on this holistic path, if you've been in some holistic energies, then you may be an individual that's going to be here for a long time. And that's going to be you having to, you know, take accountability over all those seeds that you've been planted in, so that you can kind of gain some form of spiritual awareness and not play the victim as much when it comes to what's going on or what may be blinding you or what you may be getting validated by in the one, two, and third dimension. Because you may be getting validated for negative things that's seen in the spiritual realm, but in the one, two, and third dimension, it may be seen as positive. But eventually, all those energies that you was putting so many seconds and hours and thoughts and feelings into, eventually you're gonna have to take responsibility of that. You're gonna manifest a life for yourself that's gonna eventually put you on the opposite side or the opposer side of things, so that you may be the one that gets done dirty next life. But you're gonna have to endure that next time. And if you don't endure that, if you keep running away from those energies, that's just gonna be you creating more cycles for yourself. So when it comes to you having to take responsibility and accountability for your energies and your negative energies that you have created for yourself, so you can start creating hells for yourselves, minds for yourself. Holistic awareness is being aware of things that only consist of the one, two, and third dimension, being aware of things that only consist of limitations and blockages, and separating more and more and more from the space of all, so you can be able to, you know, rise above these animalistic natures, animal will, zodiacs, demiurges, so you can start to create something more better for yourself. And that's gonna take, you know, having to fight fire with fire, having to separate, having to sacrifice, having to isolate all those energies. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have a sense of peace. You're gonna be able to go to sleep at night and not worry about, dang, I should have did this, or having so many regrets on your mind. And then once you do die, you'll be able to die with a smile on your face. You won't die with so many regrets, like I should have did this, I should have did that, I shouldn't have did this, I should have took that way. We got to look at our experiences like, no matter what's happening in front of us, everything, it always end up going into our favor. No matter what's, you know, the one, two, and third dimension looks like, it's always in our favor from a spiritual perspective, from an esoteric perspective. So we have to look at our experiences like that. And the better we can look at our experiences like that, the better we'll be able to get more of a grip on how to actually control our own destiny and start to, you know, taking responsibility and doing what's righteous. And that's just going to lead us into having integrity instead of developing integrity issues where you're so lost into your own ego you can't see yourself another way. So you're lost into a Luciferian concept and you don't want to change. You want to be stuck into a mind. You want to be stuck into a body because these was the first hells that we created for ourselves. And the mind and body that you created for yourself, you don't want to see that no other way. So that's going to end up being your downfall. That's going to end up being your devil because that's just you separated from God and all. So when it comes to, having to take the path of righteousness, it's just all about taking responsibility for the things that we have created for ourselves. So once we do this cycle again and our head ends up eating our tail, the dragon ends up eating his tail, it won't be so catastrophic. It won't be so chaotic. It'll be like an easy esoteric astral travel for you or something that you already have familiarity on. So you won't have so much of a percentage level of wanting to separate and negative outcomes of, actually having the will to take care of your responsibilities this life. It'll be like something that you're actually excited to do, not something that you're running away from. So we got to make sure that the things that we are creating for ourselves, that we're not running away from our own self. Because when it comes to our mind and our awarenesses, we're really just, talking to ourselves at the end of the day. Because teamwork makes the dream work. We all created these shapes and forms so we can jump into and experience as a collective conscious. But we all have our own mind, our own solo space that's separate from the all space. So at the end of the day, it's not about placing blame or playing a victim. It's more about taking accountability and looking at it like, you know what? I manifested this. I put this upon myself. So this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to take from that astral travel. And this is what I'm going to adjust. So I won't go down those same trains of thoughts and lines of reasonings. And this is going to be the universe and God looking at you as a wise and adult spirit. So by default, they're going to be trying to help you out and put you in better spaces so that you can be the beacon to help other individuals that has the possibility of getting lost into that energetic signature. So you'll be the authority or have some form of intellectual property to help individuals out of that intellectual signature because you already been there and done that and dealt with that energy lives and lives and lives. So this is you playing out hero qualities as below in the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension because you have the key, you have the right way, you have the direction to help individuals from going down the path of destruction, going down the path of creating retrogrades, going down the path of reincarnations. We back. So this is going to be you helping that spirit, taking that spirit to the water, but at the end of the day, it's going to be up to that spirit to be able to make their own cup. So you can take a spirit to the water, but they have to be the spirit to make their own cup. But if you continuously try to take that spirit to the water and they're just not making their own cup, and this person just trying to use you to get to point A to point B, then it's just maybe a person that's in a using spirit. So you may have to separate from those individuals and just lead by example. So when it comes to you being a hero and your path to righteousness, this is all going to be you just learning from previous experiences, learning from your likes and your dislikes, and you brought from a previous life and separated from those energies and going through the process of wanting to teach that to others to help others expand. Because when it comes to helping out all and all possibilities, it's really all about expanding and contracting. So we're all just expanding and contracting, expanding audible form, spiritual birth, metaphysical and physical death, contracting back into a form to experience what we just created for ourselves. So you're going to be taking this ability that you learn. So the ability that you take that you learn is going to be the reminiscences in the substance that you're going to be kind of familiar with and that you're going to be clinging on to when you reincarnate back into a previous life. So that ability that you develop in this life, whether it was teaching, whether it was helping others, whether it was being a diplomat, whether it was, whatever attribute or skill that you develop, you're going to be taking that into your next carnation cycle. So we got to make sure that we are developing healthier habits and healthier abilities, and not clinging on to so much things that's, can get us lost into the one, two, and third dimension, that eventually put us in some self-sabotaging energy or some self-serving energy. Because if we continuously apply out those traits and continuously to stay in that space, the universe and all possibilities, it's just gonna look at us like we must just like that space. That must be the space they would like to plant seeds in. So we got to be careful when it comes to our self-serving energies, and don't be afraid to help others, even if you have to fight fire with fire, because being at service is always a better, outcome to that. Just being at service to other individuals, but still knowing that you may have to fight fire with fire. You may have to be a negative individual, because it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And as long as you're doing it for God, as long as you're telling somebody that they need to get out their ass because their drawers stink, as long as you're doing it for God, that's going to be helping that individual out, because there may be some internal work that they need to do so they can start to better themselves. But yeah, it's all about, taking responsibility and, being virtuous going on this path, because our true spiritual nature is, separated, and that's already negative. But as long as we keep incarnating and creating cycles for ourselves, and just let this become like a second nature to us, and we keep showing all possibilities that, that we're trying to expand and contract the universe and be a vessel for God, then by, first we got to separate from all the indoctrinations. If you're still lost into indoctrinations, if you're still lost into like things like religious and things of those natures, you're off the bat, you're already, doing demonic purposes, doing those for demonic purposes. But first you got to separate from those energies. And once you separate from those energies and become your own source, become your own, know that you are the creator, not the creation, not getting too lost into the creation, then this can kind of help you have a better way of being a leader and shining a light into the dark. But yeah, it's been Eli 360. Hope I enjoyed this video. Peace.